Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to the Mona Lisa Monroe Morning Show. Grab your coffee or your tea, hunty, because we have a lot to talk about. But before we get started on those red hot topics, please go to my website, www.monalisamonroe.com. We've got t-shirts, we've got mugs, we've got toast. Believe me, we've got you covered. And also, you could purchase my book, Life After the Diagnosis. If you know a survivor or you are a survivor, this is the book that you need. Well, let's go ahead and get this party started right, shall we?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and happy February, hunty. February is packed and loaded. When I tell you February is one of my favorite months, yes, it is Black History Month. Whoop, whoop. And it's the love month, as they say. Valentine's Day is in February. February is just packed and loaded. Bottom line, that's all I got to say, right? Well, I'm glad you tuned in today, Hunte, because we have a lot to talk about. But before I do that, I want you to go to my website, www.monalisamonroe.com, and get all the merchandise that you just seen in the commercial. Please purchase something, because when you do, you support the show. Yes. And also, you can get your girl's book, Life After the Diagnosis. All of that good stuff is on the website. Baby, baby, baby. Ain't that a song? Baby, 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 where did our love go? Okay. Well, we're not talking about where did it go. Baby, we're talking about what it is. Love is series for the month of February. Yes. Now, we had some couples. Okay, so I just, sent out some invites to a bunch of couples to see if they could come on the show this morning, come on the show tonight, come on the show every Thursday this month. Because why? We're talking about love because it's the love month. Hey, what do you think? So, hopefully, my couples will be able to come on because what I'm told is that Texas or Dallas is getting ready to be under siege with snow. So they are all on lockdown. So hopefully they have lights, electricity, in order to get on the show. I had no idea. That's what I get for not watching the weather around the world, not just here in Georgia. But hopefully they can get on because I'm told that it's getting ready to snow in Texas, Dallas, Texas, at that. So we're just gonna, what we do. We're gonna push, push, push. So we're still talking about love is, and we're still gonna be talking about what you guys think it is. So if you are on and you want to comment, please do so we can converse with one another. That's what the show is all about. Conversation, not just mine, but me and you conversing together. So let's start out by doing this. Let's start out by here. Yeah. Let's start out by this. What would you say to someone looking for love? Audience members, my art gallery, everyone tuning in, what would you say to someone looking for love? Now, of course, in the show, I start out with me on the chopping block, right? I would say stop looking. I know that sounds crazy. But think about it. And I'm going to, of course, uncover, open it up for conversation. If you disagree with me, let me know. But I would say to a person that is looking for love to stop. Because when you're looking for it, that's when you miss it. Okay, let me explain. When you're looking for love, because you don't know what that looks like, you're looking for something that you want or what your preferences are, and you're looking for the love that's in your mind, what it's supposed to look like, and all that good stuff. And most of the time, I would say all the time, you miss the things that you need, right? Because you're really not thinking about what you need. You're thinking about what you want. And, of course, the women have the tall, dark, and handsome, the, money, job, whatever. Now, that's the gimmicks, okay? Of course, you want somebody employed. And, you want somebody that's attractive to you physically, mentally, emotionally, all that good stuff. So these are the things that I would think that you would start increasing in yourself. Okay, so if you're looking for love in this category, nice, considerate, giving, caring, all of that, when you become that, you surround yourself with people with those same characteristics. I know. I tell you the truth, the law of, what is it called? The law of attraction is real. So the moment that you put that energy out there of loving, caring, giving, joyous, happy, peaceful, those type of people start to gravitate to you. And so when you start to manifest that in your life, it seems to overflow in your life. So my suggestion for you is get off the websites. Well, okay, put it like this. Let me take that back, because people have found love on websites. So if that's your avenue and that's what you want to take, if that's what you want to do, okay, fine. Just don't look for just don't look for a mate like marriage until you sort of get to know that person as a friend first. I know I sound old school, I know, but it's real. It's real talk. I know people that have fallen in love with people that they met on the internet. So I'm not bashing the internet at all. Hey, if that's where you start, that's where you start. But all at the same time, talking to these people, they got to know these people online to become friends first, and then lovers, and how that follows through or folds out. So I really don't think you should go looking for anything. And I can use myself for an example. The moment that I said, you know what, I'm going to sit back and relax and enjoy Mona Lisa, I promise you, that's when everything started popping. I promise you. And as evidence of this, here is a couple. Okay, my couple made it. Praise the Lord. I'm going to introduce this fabulous couple, and I'm going to tell y'all something. I owe them my everything, because the scheming behind the scenes that I didn't know about. But anyway, we'll get all that going. We'll get all that going. But let me personally introduce my favorite number one couple in America. Is who? Brr, drum roll, please. Scots, baby. What's going on?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Y'all already know you are my favorite. I'm not lying. You're my favorite, y'all. You know this.
Wow.
So let me go ahead and sit back, and I want you guys to introduce yourselves to the audience so everybody can know why you're my favorite. Go ahead.
Oh, you want the story? You want to give them the deets, like right from the beginning?
Yeah.
Who might you be?
Just love connection people, I guess.
Yeah, really, huh? I guess that's a title that we have earned officially, huh?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, I know I'm sort of catching you up. So this month is the Love Is Series month. Of course, Valentine's Day, February is the love month. But all at the same time, a lot of people don't have love, and they're searching or whatever the case may be. So I just took it upon myself to go among some folks and ask a couple of questions to married couples as well as singles. And I, of course, wrote those questions down, and I'm going to ask my favorite couple. But before I do that, I want to tell the audience that you guys are the ones that helped me and my hubby bubby get together.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, what? My
was,
goodness, what a matchmaking.
That was an interesting weekend. It was
Yes. Memories.
Lots of fun.
We look back so fondly on that weekend, and I mean,
fondly we talk about it quite
and
a bit.
Hilariously, because it was like, what? Should we be here?
Yeah,
it's so crazy. So let me start out by putting out the first question from the audience. How did you guys meet?
Wow.
That one is, gosh, how much time did we have?
Yeah, really.
That was so interesting, because while we recognize that we met as adults, we may have played together as children.
Yeah.
And not known.
And not known.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Richard's father and my late grandfather were thick as thieves.
Yeah.
Mm.
So Richard has a lot of memories at my grandparents' house.
A lot.
He remembers my male cousin, who I was always playing with, but I don't remember him, and he doesn't remember me. But it's quite possible that we were in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hurry
Yeah.
up, baby. He talking about time. Hurry up.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
it's great because before my grandfather passed, I have so many pictures that have his dad and my grandfather and our children all in the same picture, because his daddy would always be at my grandparents' house.
Mhm.
And so it's great because we have those generational pictures with these patriarchs and our grandchildren. But back to your question, yeah, so we may have played together as little people and not known.
That
Yeah.
is awesome.
And while we're both from Bermuda, we
met.
didn't really meet until we were in the US. But we had
Well, we
I
met.
didn't.
We
Did we
met at
even
the.
exchange words at the career fair?
No.
So we were both business majors. He accounting, me business administration, international business. And so when we were in Bermuda for a break, a Christmas break,
Yeah.
we used our time wisely. We went to a career fair at HSBC. And so then we had to go around the room in our small groups and say what our concentrations were for our studies. And his major was accounting and minor international business, and my major business administration, minor international business. And when he said international business, I looked. I was like, oh, somebody else. And so that was like our first interaction.
Right.
So it was that
We didn't know that you was at Clark and I had graduated.
No.
Right.
So he had graduated from Clark Atlanta University.
Okay. Whoop whoop.
And so the year he graduated was the year I transferred to Clark. So
wow.
that meant that we had mutual friends.
Mhm.
So when I got to Clark and people were like, okay, Shanika, you're from Bermuda, do you know Richard? I'm just like, no, I don't know Richard. And so then they were still in touch with Richard, even though he was back in Bermuda. They'd say, oh, we met this girl, Shanika from Bermuda. Do you know her? And he's like, no.
I know it.
So how did you guys, I mean, what was the dynamic moment?
So what's interesting is that I had to go back to Atlanta to study for the CPA exam. And we were at a party.
Well, yes, but you have to tell them that we are mutual friends. So one of our mutual friends
is one of my line brothers.
Is one of his line brothers from his fraternity. And he's a good friend of mine. You know, we thought it might have been a romantic connection. It didn't work. So we were like, okay, we're super tight friends. So we would just hang out a lot. And so Richard was studying for the CPA exam. So he was back in Atlanta for his review course. And so he was at a party one night and I was hanging with his frat brother. We were just going to different parties that night. And so we ended up at this one house party where Richard was. And then it was finally this is Richard, you know, because his frat brother was like, this is Richard who I've been telling you about. And he was like, this is Shanika who I've been telling you about.
Right. And then once we started talking about who we were, it was like, wait a minute. I know your grandfather really well. I spent hours at your grandparents' house.
Wow.
You know, because they lived in the very next neighborhood over from my grandparents' house. So it was amazing. So
there wasn't really a love connection then.
Not then.
No. So fast forward,
That's what people want to know. I mean, are the bells going off when y'all?
No, not at all. No. Not at all. It was just like, oh,
it kind of couldn't.
Wow. So one of the questions: would you say it was love at first sight?
No.
See, that's what I tell people all the time.
No.
Sometimes it's not like that. Matter of fact, sometimes you're irritated.
No, we were irritated, but like while he was doing his review course, we would end up at a lot of the same
Some
parties.
places, yeah.
And
Okay.
Richard is a good dancer,
Oh,
and I like to.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I did not
I
know
like
that.
to go shake too, right? So I would see Richard on the dance floor, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, and we have like a little moment on the dance floor or whatever. But it's still
Uh-huh.
anything. It's
Yeah.
like, and then the next summer we were both in Bermuda,
Mhm.
and I was on a dud date.
You were on a date.
I was on a date with somebody else, and it was dud. I was like, oh, I need somebody to rescue me. So this guy that I was on a date with, he was like,
Uh-huh.
well, I gotta go work in the morning. I should take you home. We went out and ended up at the club afterwards, and he's like, I should take you home. I'm like, I'm not ready to go. And he's like, I've got to go to work. And I was like, and I will find a ride. And he was like, but I brought you out. And I was like, and Richard was standing nearby. And I said, Richard, don't you live in Somerset, the same parish that I live in? I knew he lived in the same area. I said, didn't you live in Somerset? And he said, yeah. I said, you think you could give me a ride? And so Richard said, sure. And I turned to my dud date and I said, look, I got a ride. Bye.
Shanika, you gangster. You are gangster.
Yeah. So
Boy.
I gave her a ride home, and just very gentleman-like, dropped her off and made sure she got in her house safely.
Safely.
And then I think the thought started.
Yes, we started thinking.
The thought started from there.
Okay.
And I was
So
like,
were you looking for a mate? Were you really ready? So you guys weren't even looking for one another at the time.
nah, nope, not at all.
Mm-mm.
Not at
No.
all.
And at that point, we were not in the place with God that we are now.
Yeah.
So at that point, it was just kind of like, oh, this might be fun.
Right.
We are obviously attracted to each other.
Right.
And this might be fun, but it wasn't anything like, oh, this might be my husband, the father of my children. None of that.
Right.
So how far in would you guys say? And I know sometimes it's different for each one, but how far in would you go like, you know what? She is the one, or he is the one. How far in were you guys dating when you realized that?
Remember when you were in the car with Sean and you were like, I think I love
Yeah.
him. Yes.
So I was out with with like two of my best friends that we would hang out all the time.
Uh-huh.
And one night, I just was like, "Hey, man, I think I love her. I really think I love her." So at that point, it was sort of like, okay, this has the potential to be a lifetime partner, lifetime commitment. So
Wow.
I mean, because really, love wasn't something that I was trying to really get caught up in at 22 years old, at
Yeah,
20,
and simultaneously,
yeah.
while he was like thinking long term, I was like, I know that my heart is getting involved, but he's not the one for me. He
Really?
wasn't taking off my checklist. And
the checklist.
yes, my checklist. And so I was like, he is fun for now, but I really think my husband is somewhere else.
Really?
Yes.
So when did you start saying, this checklist might be trash?
Well, I think we broke up, and I think at that point when we broke up, I was like, I can't stop thinking about him. Yeah.
I love it. I love it because when I met you guys together. I met you guys, so these stories to me makes me feel closer and sort of like now I know how the magic started. You know what I mean? So you guys have been married for how long?
22 años.
22 and a half years. This September 30th
wow.
will be 23 years.
23.
Yeah. 23 years. This year.
23. Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy because we have some really good friends and they're godparents to our children and all that. And when we started hanging out with them, they're like a decade older than us.
Yeah.
But really close friends. And they have been married for 17 years. And I remember thinking that's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a lifetime.
Yeah.
And here we are, 22 years in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even seem like it, huh?
Does it?
No, I tell you what, it's interesting because we
Oh,
still
you guys are freezing a little bit.
Wow.
Is your
We
Wi-Fi
wouldn't-
still okay? There you go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting because Shanika and I still have fun. We still go out on dates. We still do a lot of the things that we did when we were dating.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's funny because we're still very playful. Like,
Mhm.
I think we're still very much attracted to each other. And I know that is not something that everybody shares, that you can be so happy in a marriage, and we're happy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
50
And-
plus.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Still be happy.
sometimes we could just look at each other and just be in awe of how we've been blessed. Because sometimes you go out to dinner and you see the couple and nobody's talking.
I know.
Yeah,
I've
you know what I'm
always
talking
said,
about?
oh my God, let me tell you something. When I was single, I said to myself every time I would see one of those couples, I cannot be that couple. I cannot be
Yeah.
that couple.
Yeah.
You know, or either quiet or on the phone.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's what's interesting about where we are in our family is that now the kids are old enough to, we can go out on dates alone and not have to carry them with us anymore.
Or have a babysitter.
Or have
Right,
a babysitter.
right.
So we're able to now really get back to how things were prior to them coming.
Yeah.
But I think to some degree we weren't able to do it as often as when they were younger. But now that they're getting older, we're able to date and hang out and
Yeah, because I mean,
And-
just as a point of clarity, I think we've maintained the dating. It's just
it wasn't as often.
yeah, but it's like when we first got married. Remember, we used to go every Saturday night.
Yeah, right,
Every Saturday night.
right.
No, it's not every
do
Saturday.
you think that's something? Do you think that's something that married couples should schedule or let it happen organically?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. All of the
Yes,
above.
yes.
Schedule a lot of stuff.
Schedule it and let it happen organically.
Both.
Yeah, I tell you what. One of the things that I don't plan it, but sometimes I'll be at Target and I'll just walk across the flower section and I'm like, I'm just gonna take some flowers home to Shanika. No reason. It's not Valentine's Day. It's not her birthday. It could be August 5th.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, that's the kind of stuff that guys need to take note because women keep track. I'm sorry, we do. We go, oh, I remember that time. It was a bad day for me because you don't even know what we're going through on the other side. So when you come up with some flowers or, a kiss on the cheek or something like that, it makes our whole week.
Wow. Yeah,
So-
I must say I'm gonna get better at the love language because Shanika likes touching and
Physical touch.
she
That's
loves
my
that.
strongest love
Yeah.
language, I would say.
And it's not
Mine
mine.
too.
Yeah,
Yes, yours too.
yeah, it's not
Yes,
mine.
it
I
is.
like to. She likes to cuddle on the couch, and I'm like, I need space.
Yeah.
So-
Now we have 2 coaches, so we're good.
So what's your love language, Richard?
Words of affirmation. I just like to know that that you appreciate what I'm doing.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys find that out in marriage, or you knew when going in?
In marriage.
And yeah,
Yeah.
we found it out. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the only time you really want to find out.
Yeah. I mean, I guess before it was my focus wasn't before my focus was marriage, it wasn't really important. I had
Okay.
other agendas.
No, before we were committed to each other. So
Oh, right.
yeah.
Got you.
So, have you guys been married before?
No.
No.
Oh, this is both of you guys' first marriage.
Yeah.
Yep. Only marriage.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's special.
Yeah.
That's special. So I'm going to ask the tough questions now. We did the good stuff. How far in did you guys make that, that fight? You know what I mean? That one big fight. How did you get over that?
We haven't had a big fight.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 22 years?
We
I would say the most stressful in our marriage was when you bought the car.
right.
That was a financial situation. We didn't have a fight, but I felt like I couldn't breathe for like 2 weeks. I felt like because I'm so frugal, and Richard thought that he would surprise me and trade in our car that was paid for, and get a new car with a car payment. And he thought that she's going to be so excited. And I had come to Dallas to visit my family. And I get off the plane, and he's waiting outside. And I see the license plate. I know the license plate number. And it's not the old car.
Oh,
It's a new car. And he was so proud of himself and excited, and I felt like I couldn't breathe.
wow.
So it took like 2 weeks. Like, we didn't fight. We talked about it.
Yeah.
But that would be, I think, the biggest crisis in our marriage.
But it taught me something, that to never think about a surprise to that magnitude anymore. So it would never happen again.
Yeah. And then, when it involves the finances. And
I honestly thought you were going to say this. I honestly thought you were going to say it taught me that surprising her was something that I want instead of something that she wants.
Well, what it was is that the car that we had was, I was getting some advice from from some car folks. And even my dad drove the car one day, and he was just like, man, I can't believe you would have your brand new daughter driving around in this car, and he was like, it's dangerous. And I was like, okay, I have no experience with cars. So I was like, all right, you know what? I don't want my wife and daughter to be in danger. So how about we just trash this car and get a new one?
Yeah.
So it was from that perspective.
Oh, gotcha.
Of course, I never even considered the stress that Shanika would feel as a result of the finances. I mean, I was like, we could afford the car payment.
Yeah.
But of course, she was looking at it as, but we could be saving that money.
Right.
We had made major adjustments too. When our daughter was born, then I decided I was going to be home full time with her. So we went from 2 incomes to 1, which meant that we had to be very mindful of our spending. Before we were double income, no kids in the house.
Right.
Let's go to London for the weekend.
Yeah.
Let's go to Philly for the weekend. Let's do this. Oh, our friends are going on this trip. Let's get in.
Right.
Eat out whenever we wanted. We had enough money because we were both young professionals without a whole lot of financial obligations.
Right.
And then when the baby came, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna be home. That's one less salary. And then
Yeah.
it's like, woo, stress.
Yeah.
But
And
we gotta,
that's the main thing. Finances. Finances. If you, as a married couple, if you can walk through that together, I mean, I think you could live together forever and ever. Those finances are something else.
yeah,
I think I read somewhere that finances is above infidelity.
yeah,
Mhm.
it is. It
Yes.
is. Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Like in Medea's words, I can do bad all by myself. You're
Yeah.
gonna, you want to jack up your credit score, do that by yourself.
Wow. Wow. That's
I mean,
interesting.
not jack up, but be out of it.
Exactly. Exactly. So would you guys say that your marriage changed once the kids came? And that's a good way, or, how did it shift?
Yeah, because then our priorities were not each other anymore.
Ooh,
So definitely we make sure and convey to the kids that there's a hierarchy. There's God,
Mhm.
there's us, and then there's you.
Ah,
Yes.
yeah.
But
And that is
yeah.
something that's very important, because so often in talking to couples,
Yeah.
when it comes to children, it's
Oh my
almost like
goodness.
the children take precedence over the
Yes.
spouse,
Yes.
and that's really not the hierarchy that we're supposed to be taking. But
Correct.
you know what it is I think in most people's minds, and this is probably um, if you allow if a seed is allowed to grow,
Mhm,
then in this instance it's a bad thing. But I think
mhm.
in a lot of people's minds, my child is of my bloodline, my seed.
Right.
You're not.
Lineage.
Right.
Mhm.
You
You could be
spouse,
going.
you could be going, but not them. So
Exactly.
so I think that in the back of some people's minds is that idea. And if that is allowed to faster and grow, then the idea of you could be going continues to be a possibility.
Hmm.
And that possibility grows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that's very, very important to me and Gary.
Mhm.
It's like I've always, well, I'm going to say this. I was a single parent more than I was a married person with children. And this is not our first marriage, not his or mine.
Mhm.
And so to us, we've learned what not to do, what not to say, that we don't like, dealing with two people. And that was one of the things that I've learned, because I was a single parent for so long. I would put the kids in front of everything because that was my
Mhm.
main focus. But when I got married, it was like, okay, the husband and you are the ones that's going to be in this game forever. These kids are going to grow up and they're going to leave. And that's exactly
Mhm.
what they did. So,
Mhm.
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
you have to nurture what you guys have, and then of course, input or invest in your children until they're adults, and then you give
Yeah.
advice, no longer parent but advice. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, I think it's important to actually establish the hierarchy within the family, because at the end of the day, if the kids see that mommy and daddy have mommy and daddy as a priority, and then it's us, then they grow up with that same thought process. So when it's time for them to have their family, then
Right.
that thought process is already in place, that it's me and my spouse as
That's
opposed
right.
to the children coming first. But I
That's
do
right.
recognize that in a situation like yours, that has the potential to be like, you know what, I'm had a bad experience. It's all about these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you come into a marriage, then it's like, look, it's them first, then you.
Yeah.
No, and I think it's important to try and work through that,
Yeah.
discuss it, and work through that process of who has priority.
Yeah, there are a lot of different dynamics
Factors,
too.
yeah.
That when you have a blended family,
Right.
that you don't have to consider when
Yes.
you just have your
Just
parent, the husband and wife, and then your biological children. Um, God can bless a lot of different types of families, and
Yeah.
He loves families.
Mhm.
But we have to be mindful that, okay, so this one doesn't look like this recipe.
Right.
This one is a little different.
Right.
So the approach has to be different too.
Yes. Yes. And that was something I had to learn. I ain't gonna lie to you, because I was married the first time with children, came into it with children, made some mistakes, did some, craziness, and then learned as well. So then this marriage, I know exactly my focus on where to put who
Mhm.
type of thing.
Mhm.
So it was definitely a growing thing. But I'm telling you, you cannot tell couples, and me and Gary sit with couples, and you can't tell some couples that their children aren't priority when it comes to their spouses. I'm like, I'm not telling you that your children are not priority, but they don't trump your husband. They do
Right.
not trump your man.
Right.
But then you have the extreme on the other side, to where they
Yes.
discount or discredit their children. And, their husband is a tyrant or a dictator. And it's just something I guess you have to weigh out,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because I think the key is for us. I just have to tell you, the key for
Yeah.
us has been prayer.
Mm-hmm.
We've made prayer a
Ooh.
matter
Now
of priority,
yeah. Yeah.
and as a result, our relationship with the Lord has by far, without reservation, we can
Yeah.
stand here or sit here flat-footed, knowing that that is the very solid foundation that we have that has kept
Mm.
us throughout this 23 years, well, almost 23 years.
Yeah. We got a popped up question here. What do you think the key to marriage is? Oh Lord.
Without sounding all preachy, we are Christians, so that's like so important to us. So if
Yes.
we open our mouths, we can't help but share, um, you know, who we love,
Yes.
and that involves God. And I think the key for us is that God is in the center. I think
Yes.
the scripture, the cord of three strings is not easily broken, and
Mhm.
so it's there are three of us. There is Him, there's God, there's me,
Mhm.
and He's the chief cornerstone. So
Yes.
that is
Yes.
definitely the key. Now, I dated him when we weren't walking with God, and was it you know tiptoes through the tulips? I'm so happy. No, it was
Right.
stressful a lot of times. It was, I cried. He
Yeah.
helped me.
Yeah.
I didn't feel a lot of things that I feel now.
Right.
That is the difference. God in the center. So we know what it's like to have a relationship where it's just
On the other side.
he and I,
Yeah.
and our futile attempts to try and make each other happy. But
Uh-huh.
then fast forward to the three of us, him, God, and me, and what
Mhm.
that looks like, and how I just think like metaphorically, I'm just like,
Right.
just like shoulders back, chill. Like there's no stress because I love him and I know he loves me unconditionally, and I know he doesn't want to displease God first before he wants to please me. So he wants to
Right.
please God, and then
Yeah.
I get the spillover benefits
Yeah.
because he knows he needs to be the head of our house. He needs to be the shepherd of our family, the
Mhm.
priest. And then guess what? We're all happy because he's made a commitment to God and I've made a commitment to God.
I
So,
think
what would you? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think a practical, of course, I certainly concur with what Shanika shared. But I think from a practical standpoint, we communicate. Um, we shared just the other day that Shanika and I, if we have a somewhat of a disagreement,
Mm-hmm.
it lasts maybe 5 minutes,
Well,
maybe 10 at tops, because
wow.
we recognize that, okay, well, we need to talk about this.
Except for the
Yeah.
car situation. That was the one. That
Right.
was the one.
I mean,
but we learned
yeah,
from that.
yeah,
Yeah.
really, because I don't do well with not being able to discuss things.
Uh-huh.
I don't do well. So I have to communicate what I'm feeling, how you made me feel. Let's talk
Uh-huh.
about this.
Yeah. See, that's
But
me.
yeah, I think it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
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 Because if I have to stew, it's not,
Yeah.
this isn't gonna end well.
But we're both such communicators. So we're both like, listen, you did that. And what we've been mindful even of the language that we use. This is how it made me feel.
Right. Instead of saying you, this is how it made me feel. So we put it on us.
Yeah.
How it made me feel. So I'm not
like,
accusing her.
no.
She's not accusing me.
I like that.
Yeah. This is how it made me feel.
I'm gonna have to steal that one. I like that because that's the reason why I'm stewing, or that's the reason why I'm upset, because this is how I feel.
Yes.
And because we've been raised by other people, and now we have this culture that I think is ours now, 22 years in, but we have been raised by other people and had lives before our marriages, so that you bring that to the marriage, and then you say or do this, and I interpret it this way, and you're like clueless because this is what these actions mean to you, and for me, it's very different.
Right. That's good. That's some good stuff right there, because I think that's the whole thing. And they say women are from Venus and men are from Mars, or whatever, how that goes. Look, you still in the galaxy. Y'all gonna have to get together some kind of way. So, the best way to do it is don't think that you're separate. Just try to understand one another to become one.
Yeah.
And I love that when you say, this is the way I feel. I love that. I absolutely love that. So what would you say to people? Because, now Christian divorce is trumping worldly, or, people of the world. So when you say God's first, God's this, they like, okay, y'all's divorce rate is 60%. So what would you say to that?
You better know that you really heard from God, and that you didn't and that you didn't eat a pizza late at night.
Can we say that?
I'm just saying.
Yes, because everybody's claiming people for their spouse. And like Richard said, you better hear from God.
All right.
He or she is cute.
Yeah. Take time out. You have to take time out. It's
Gary said you don't have to steal that.
Honey, I'm just saying. Anyway, go ahead with your point.
Yeah, I believe that a lot of times we would say that we heard from the Lord, and it's okay to pause. It's okay to see, to make sure. It's like anything else. But when you're talking about spouses, you're talking about a lifetime commitment. This isn't. If you want to have a party where everybody dresses up, do that. Hey, you even got a white dress and tell people you're having a wedding themed party.
Right.
But no, seriously, because some people really want to, they want the lights, camera, action.
Yeah.
And marriage is very tough, because in my view, marriage is a life lesson in dying to self. It's a life lesson of dying to self, because I have to consider Shanika first before me. Always.
Wow. Always.
Even the times when I want to step out front and say, well, I think I deserve to treat myself. No, I still have to consider. Yeah.
Oh my God. Go ahead. I gotta open the door. So go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah. So I think it's vitally important for individuals to know that you know that you know, and and be willing to listen to counsel, wise counsel. wise counsel, people who's going to tell you the truth. So, yeah.
So when people are invested in that one day, I can tell, to be honest with you, I really can tell when it's all about the bells and the whistles, like you were just saying. If you want to have a party, just have a party. Because I'm talking about, I want this, I want that. You got Bridezilla going on, and you look at this and you go, because to me, the people that go, you know what, I can have 3 people, a witness and the pastor, and I'm good. And it seems like those are the weddings that last the longest. And the ones that are so elaborate are the ones that only last a couple of years.
No, we had an elaborate wedding. When you're from a small community like ours, it's kind of hard not to invite some people, because, oh my God, you're going to have to live the rest of your life.
How big was the wedding?
What? You're going to go to the produce section and be like, where's that person I didn't invite?
How big was it?
We had like 200, 225. Yes.
Oh, that's big.
And that was
shaved down, because I have my little Bridezilla moment with just like, we had to revamp some things because Richard got what? Richard is he's very much
sports person.
He's athletic. Yeah. So he had a lot of connections, right? And I said earlier that I'm a frugal person. It kind of matches like most of my personality traits. I'm a minimalist. I'm just kind of like I like simple. Less is more. That's kind of like my mantra in life, right? So I wanted a less is more wedding, and he wanted lights, camera, action, everybody in Bermuda. And Richard did. And so I
know a lot of people.
What? So we had one moment I was like, listen, I do not want all these people at my wedding, because not all of those people are for me. They're just curious about what my dress is going to look like. I don't want all these people standing up there next to me. It's just too much. That looks ghetto. And I don't want to go on a cruise. Now, I love cruises now, but at that point in my life, I thought it was uninventive and boring. However, so he's like, okay. So we had to change those 3 things, right? Because I was like, listen, we can get on a plane, invite our parents, and that's it.
And that's it.
Yes. And he wanted the wedding more than I wanted the wedding. So the compromise was that we shaved down the guest list. We changed the honeymoon to the place where I wanted to go, Southeast Asia. Ooh. And then we, what was the other one? Oh, the amount of people, the bridesmaids and the ushers. We shaved that down too.
The ushers. Oh my gosh.
The groomsmen.
The groomsmen. Yeah.
The groom. Wow. So Richard, you had to do some adjusting, because if you're this elaborate dude and then you're married to a frugal wife, that's the woo-wee, huh? Well, you know what's crazy? Me and Gary is elaborate. So
yeah, we're always like, those guys be large.
I'm telling you, we got to really
large.
Man, I'm just a plain country boy.
You know what? I'm not even gonna say nothing, because Richard knows Gary and he knows how elaborate he is. So he calls it, you gonna put the Mona Lisa on it. I'm like, shoot, put money on it.
It goes back to when we first met, and going back in your kitchen, Richard. When I left out and Sandy made that call to Mona Lisa, and I came back in, and you two had a look on your face. I'm like, okay, what just happened? All right. So it goes back to that when Sandy asked me if she was inviting Mona Lisa, and I said, well, she was telling me she's a woman of God. She loves Christ, and she's speaking 11,000 tongues and all of this. I said, and no joke, Shanika. I said, man, I don't care about that. I said, is she jazzy? Is she sassy? Is she pizzazz? Does she have some pizzazz about herself? I said, I can get her saved, but I can't make her.
That is the craziest.
I can't make her. I can make her jazzy.
You said no Pollyanna.
But we both have somewhat an elaborate spirit about ourselves. But
Yeah.
I think on the team one.
Well, you know what? You all are funny because we talk about that night at the restaurant all the
Really?
yes. We do. If I mean, and it's funny because yesterday I went to Nothing Bun and I got a chocolate bun, and I'm sure that would have generated conversation because anytime we have chocolate cake or a chocolate anything, it reminds us of the comment that was made at the table.
Yeah.
Like we're always laughing about that. Always.
Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious.
You know that was going to be my intro this morning. I was going to come in and say, so what's happening in the chocolate factory?
You know, I was learning as we go because Shanika and Richard talked about how they first met. And I was like, oh my gosh, because when I came on the scene, you guys were already there, already together, all that good stuff. So to hear how you guys met was just so awesome to me.
Well, this is how we met. Through those two.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Rich, Shanika.
Yeah.
And Shanika's mom.
That weekend was a weekend of surprises.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right? Because you didn't know I was coming.
No.
Yeah, Shanika and I coordinated me surprising.
Man, at least I didn't know you were coming.
Yeah. And yeah, I didn't know what I was coming into, right?
Right.
You was coming into this, into all of this. So,
hey, Rich, but here's the funny thing, you know, when you just go back and look at how everything materialized, right? Is that when we were on the way back to the house, Luke had to use the restroom. Now we were coming straight back to the house, and he was saying to Shanika, "You know, I got to use the restroom." So Shanika was like, "Okay, we're going to stop to Granny's house, to his grandmother's house, to Sandy's house." And so when we stopped there, I think I saw Sandy's mind turning that night. It looked like something. She was like, And lo and behold, who shows up at you all's house first thing Saturday morning? But Sandy, you know? Yeah. Right. So, it was like a number of things just happened and fell in place, man.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Every time I think about it, it's just amazing to me how everything just lined up that whole weekend. It just lined up. I wasn't even
prepared you too, because I remember Mona Lisa, you had gotten a prophetic word that your husband was on the East Coast. And I remember that was before Annie even thought that Gary might be the one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I tell him that. I said, babe, my word was I was going to meet a man from the East Coast, and he was going to be able to draw blueprints, and he was going to be chocolate.
Don't start, Shanika, right? She made these, what was it? Chocolate cake or chocolate cupcakes or something?
Yes.
Chocolate cupcakes.
I was supposed to take him to the church. I forgot to take him to the church, and we bring him back home in the car, and everything was surrounding that chocolate cake. Yeah.
No, you know what? Remember the chocolate, the cupcakes were on the table at the restaurant. So we had the chocolate ones and the vanilla ones.
But they're discussing afterwards.
Oh, right.
Right.
So that's how it all, it was divine. It was divine. But, to make it, to say something that's even more spiritual to me was even before that, Richard, you had reached out to Gary about what was that text? You were saying that you, Richard, you had reached out to Gary about are you coming to Texas or something like that? And Gary was like, "Come to Texas for what?" or something. You remember?
No, it was a surprise. Richard didn't know. Shanika and I were coordinating it.
No, this was back before then.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the conversation, but it was before the whole setup. Richard had texted Gary about coming to Texas, or is he coming to Texas, or does he know anybody in Texas?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
right.
I think you called me.
Yeah.
And you said there was a word in a service that day.
Right.
And the question was asked to you all, did you know someone? I think it was specific, Savannah.
Right.
And
Right.
You remember that?
I do remember. Yeah. I do remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's when I would have called you after that. Wow.
Right.
So all of that was in motion.
I think you called me while I was still in service.
Okay.
Ready. I was getting ready to go in service or still in service one, because I remember actually just leaving service. You were still in service. Right. You didn't hesitate. You received the word and you called me immediately.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I remember that. Right.
It's amazing. And I think, when we talk about even going back to the comment, Mona Lisa, about Christian marriage divorces being as high as they are, I think one of the key points that we have to do is go back to the word that we received.
Yeah.
Go back to the word we received. I mean, as soon as, because divorce doesn't happen as a result of, we don't wake up today and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to get a divorce today. It is, I make that decision today based on what has happened in the past. And I think one of the things that's key is the minute, and see, we got to keep the principle the same. If the power of God, if I'm going to rely on the power of God's word that I'm supposed to be with this person, then I'm going to rely on the power of God when difficulty comes. Right. I can't say, well, I'm not going to rely on the power of God when difficulty comes and just rely on myself. I'm got to rely on the same power of God that brought us together. And I think that's key, is that we have to go back to, why are we together? Yes, this is a rough patch. It's a tough patch, but it's vitally important for us to loop right back to, how did this all start? If God's in the center of this, if he was in the center of this, then he's in the center of it now.
And also the maintenance too, because just like you were saying earlier, Melanie said, when you asked, is it important to schedule some things to be intentional? You could think of, even with friendships, you were super tight with somebody, and then that was like, what? We were together all the time. We were like, you didn't see one without the other, and then life happened, and then it's like 10 years you haven't talked to the person. Sometimes you can pick up and reminisce when you're together, or still have civil conversations, but is it a thriving relationship still? No, because you maybe, for whatever reasons, you weren't intentional about being in the person's space, nurturing the relationship, and then before long, you're married to somebody, you care about them. There might be, the parent to your children, so you have all sorts of respect and love for the person, but are you in love? Because you didn't nurture the relationship.
I would say that too.
On, and this is just, we haven't experienced this, but just talking to other people who have been in this situation, your kids are moving on, they're empty nesters, and you look at each other and you're like, what now? Because you didn't nurture the relationship, you didn't prioritize your spouse, you maybe were prioritizing your children, and now the children have gone, and what did we have?
Right.
You
That's
know?
it. That's good, because you do have to be intentional. And when those kids are gone, it's a lot of folks divorcing after 30 years, 40 years, because who are you? You don't
Mhm.
know the spouse. You don't
Yeah.
know them. You know your children.
Right.
Well, lastly, what would you say to someone looking for love?
Hmm. My first
Let's
inclination is to say, make sure you're looking in the right direction.
see. Okay,
Yeah.
Shanika.
I would say make sure that you're not looking for something else and calling it love.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you think I just don't want to be by myself anymore, or I needed to have my oil changed a little more frequently. Yes. If those are your motivations,
True.
you have to just look inwardly. What am I bringing to the table? Am I
Right.
willing to, like what you said, die to self, put someone else's needs in front of mine? Am I ready for that? Am I ready to be intentional and nurture a relationship? Ask yourself all those things. I mean, or is it just a season where I'm like, maybe I just need to be by myself and, work on me.
Yeah.
I want to throw
Right.
something. I want to add something to this question. I would say to the individuals who are looking for love, be sure you know what love really is.
Okay.
Because I think one of the key things that um, we have an idea of what love is,
Mm-hmm.
and if you ask, I bet if you asked 100 people what love is, you're gonna get 100 different answers.
Yeah. True. Very true.
So if you're looking at what love is from your own lens, then you need to
Mm.
make sure that who you're looking for has the same love understanding as you
Lens.
do, because that
Okay.
that that could be a bit challenging
Mhm.
right there. That if
All
you're
right.
not even on the same
Yeah.
page.
And don't go into it thinking this is a DIY project. I'm a fix this person. I'm gonna make them what I want them to be.
Right. Right.
No, that's what you're getting. Yes, you can mature. We've seen it with us. We are different people from when we got married, but we're growing together. But there are some fundamental things that Richard encompasses that haven't changed. I love his generosity. He's generous to me. He's generous to my family. Now, one of the things that irritate me is when I go and I see a cheap man. Oh my God. What? That bugs me. Like Richard is, okay, yes, Miss Frugality, but I love Richard Wool. He'll often go out and pick up a check. We go out, for the table or whatever. When we're talking about gifting my parents in
Yeah.
particular, he's like, I'm like, okay, well, what? He's like, oh, he's on the high end, he's like, what? All that dad does for us and all that mom gives and all that, he's
Mhm.
generous.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen people conversely, you at the table, I just had this salad. Girl, I feel sorry for you. What life looks like for you. So I'm just saying, I'm just picking on that one thing, but look at the traits that the person has and don't expect them to change
Overnight.
because now you're married
Yeah.
and I need this to be different when we're married.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Gary.
So I guess for me, what would I say to someone that's looking for love? See that you like them. Like is very powerful. You know what I mean? We can get caught up in the emotions of things.
Mhm.
They make me feel good, you know. They make me, it's just very emotional. Like is a choice. And of course, the word of God, you know, lets us know he that what? Chooses a wife, chooses a good thing. So
Mhm.
like is based on choice, and like is based on a lot of the earthly, fleshly things. How do we
Mhm.
gel? How do we connect? And yes, the word of God says when a man leaves his father and mother, cleaves into his wife, they become
One.
one flesh. You say one spirit, one flesh. And that's typically where the discrepancy is that who are we in our flesh? I may like yellow. She may like green. I may like a certain food. She may like another type of food, or up and down. So I'm strong on like. I gotta like you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I got to like conversing with you. Uh,
Mhm.
I gotta like being around you.
Yeah, that's
I
important.
gotta just like, you know, your presence, your essence. I
Mhm.
have to
Mhm.
like. And for
Mhm.
me, love grows out of like when people say I've fallen in love, anything you fall into is a trap.
Wow.
Okay.
That's
Anything
good.
you fall into is a trap. Love is not something you fall into. Love is something that's first of all nurtured. It's like a seed that's planted. Love grows.
Mhm.
You see, love grows. Love is not something you fall into. So, you know, you for me again, it's liking something about that person. It's me like first of all communicating with that person.
Mm.
You know what? I just like and organic, you
Yeah.
know, particularly in this day and time,
Yeah.
look for something that's organic, you know, that 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 generates out of you just having conversation with someone and you just like conversing with that one and you just like spending time around that person, and out of that like out of that communication, out of that connection, you start to now the love emotions begin to generate, they begin
Mhm.
to grow, and you want to spend more time around this person, you want to converse more with this person. And so that for me, that's it, particularly. And then of course it's where you are in life, uh, as a older person
Yeah.
getting married. You know, we both are at a different place in life now than when we were 20 years
True. That's
old.
true.
You see what I mean? So
Yeah.
we both are established. Um, it's a matter of how do we gel our lives together. So I gotta just like organically. I didn't have time for potential. I think who was it? Pastor Stubble that said potential
Mm.
is the possibilities of a fool or something like that. Potential is nothing but the possibility of a fool, you know. So it's light for me. It's light for me. And for Mona
Mhm.
Lisa, I like conversing with her. I like her spirit. I like being around her and so on and forth. And from that, you know, yeah, it turned into a love relationship.
Well, for me, I would say, don't look for it. You know,
Absolutely.
if you're looking for love,
Mm.
that's when you start messing up.
Yeah.
So I would
Yeah.
say start just investing in you. And like I was saying at the top of the show, if you start to nurture what you want in a mate, that the universe brings it around you. It's like the law of attraction. So if I start loving on people and giving and caring and all this good stuff, that starts to come back to me. And I would say that a year or so before I met Gary, I was done. I wasn't worried about dating. I was like, okay, it is what it is. And then I started investing in me, and then boom. I just think
the operative word there is before she met me. That's the operative word. You know, I am a game changer.
Oh my God. Okay, that's a whole other show. Okay, so
let me say this right here. Let me say this, right? Let me say this to that. Also, right? In looking for love or looking for a relationship, look for someone where you can be the wife you always wanted to be. Look for someone where you could be the husband you always wanted to be. And, you know, of course, we've been through this before, marriage a number of times. It's not to say we have a lock on marriage, but, you know, you learn from, you know, trial and error. And being a minister and pastor and sitting down sometimes and communicating with people, what I've learned is, and you've been witness this as well, Rich, that people will come and male or female, they will have a laundry list of what they want in a man or what they want in a woman. And it's typically, you know, well, I've always wanted a husband to be this and to do this and so on and so forth. I always wanted a wife to be this and do that. What I come to realize is my happiness is in me fulfilling what I always wanted to be as a husband.
Right.
So I always say to people, you know, in the sense, couples, in the sense of, but what type of husband you always wanted to be. And irrespective of who that person is or what that person does in that marriage, if you take that perspective that this is the type of husband I always wanted to be, okay? If you're unhappy, you're going to be unhappy because of you in the sense of what you're doing. I always wanted to be this type of husband, loving, caring, joking, you know, chivalrous. You know, I always wanted to be that type of husband. You know, pretty much how my dad was with my mom, you know. And so I say to people, opposed to looking for that person, that ideal man or that ideal woman, look for that person that you can be all that you wanted to be as a male or female in a relationship.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
That anytime looking externally is going to be a possible train wreck. So like you said, it's got to start internal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to thank you guys for coming on the show this morning. My other couple, hopefully we'll have them on this evening. They had issues with technical difficulties. I don't know what the weather looks like down there, but they were having technical.
We got a storm.
Yes, that's why I'm able to jump on this morning, because there's no business in Texas this morning. Schools are closed and everything.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Okay, so definitely we'll have them on this evening. And if you guys want to jump back on this evening, you're more than welcome. But
who's due this evening?
This evening, well, I don't want to say because I don't know if they're going to be able to be on. But if
the other troublemaker,
my spiritual parents prayerfully will be on this evening. Mama Sandy and Apostle, they were having technical difficulties. We couldn't grab them, but hopefully they'll be on this evening. And thank you guys. If you guys want to show up this evening, you're more than welcome. I would love to have you. Thank you. Mwah. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you. Absolutely. Right. With our pleasure.
Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.
Bye now.
Thank you, everybody, for coming on, commenting, all that good stuff. Thank you, baby, for being on the show today, chiming in. I appreciate that. Love Is series for the month of February. We're going to have couples on every Thursday morning, every Thursday evening, and prayerfully, I know Dallas is having difficulties with weather, but prayerfully we'll have our couple on this evening. So any final words, honey?
love, peace, and soul satisfaction.
All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Please tune in tonight. We still got some good stuff for you. Holla. Bye-bye.